Kraft Heinz Foods Company recalling more than 360,000 pounds of Oscar Mayer turkey bacon due to a possible listeria contamination.
Organic, uncured, nitrate-free? None of those labels mean what you think they mean. The bacon industry spent millions making sure of that. But there's one word hidden on just 2 brands that changes everything. And most people have no idea it even exists. Oscar Mayer. The name practically screams American breakfast. Red package, sizzling commercials, that jingle stuck in your head since childhood. But here's what they're not singing about. Sodium nitrate. It's hiding right there on the ingredient list, and most people glaze right over it. When you throw that bacon in a hot pan, this preservative transforms into something called nitrosamines. The World Health Organization has linked these compounds to colorectal cancer. Not great for your morning routine. Now, their packaging says naturally hardwood smoked. Sounds wholesome, right? Like some guy in overalls is carefully smoking your pork over applewood. Nope. Flip that package over, and you'll find artificial flavoring and added sugars hanging out alongside whatever smoke actually touched that meat. 2 slices. That's it. 2 measly slices give you 380 milligrams of sodium. That's 17% of your entire daily limit before you've even poured your coffee. My cardiologist would have a field day. And the pigs themselves? Conventionally raised, which is corporate speak for pumped full of antibiotics their whole lives. Kraft Heinz, the parent company, sources from industrial megafarms where those animals never see grass, never feel sunlight, just concrete and confinement. Oh, and you're paying bacon prices for water? Sodium phosphates on the label? That's a water retention agent. Your bacon is basically a sponge wearing a meat costume. But Oscar Mayer isn't even the worst offender on store shelves. Not by a long shot. America's best-selling bacon brand moves over 300 million pounds every single year. And what's lurking in those packages might surprise you even more. Hormel Black Label moves over 300 million pounds of bacon every single year. That's not a typo. 300 million. And here's the kicker. Most people grabbing it off the shelf never bother flipping the package over. Big mistake. Lurking in that ingredient list is sodium erythorbate. Sounds fancy, right? It's actually a synthetic antioxidant made from sugar. Does absolutely nothing for your body. Just speeds up the curing process so Hormel can pump out bacon faster. But wait, it gets better. In 2022, Hormel got slapped with a lawsuit. The accusation? Their natural bacon line wasn't natural at all. Synthetic curing agents were hiding in plain sight. The very thing health-conscious buyers were trying to avoid was right there in the healthy option. Talk about false advertising with a side of betrayal. Now let's chat about where these pigs actually live. Concentrated animal feeding operations. Thousands of animals crammed together like sardines in a can. Disease spreads like gossip at a family reunion, which means more antibiotics pumped into your future breakfast. Oh, and their lower sodium version still packs 270 milligrams per serving. That's basically eating a small bag of potato chips for breakfast. Except you're calling it healthy because the label says reduced. My favorite part, though? The ingredients simply listed as flavoring. Is it artificial? Natural? Hormel won't say. You're literally playing ingredient roulette every morning. The best-selling bacon in America, and most folks have no clue what they're actually eating. But Hormel's problems seem almost quaint compared to our next brand, one that involves a $4.7 billion international deal. Smithfield. Sounds like a quaint farm somewhere in the countryside, right? Wrong. In 2013, a Chinese company called WH Group wrote a check for $4.7 billion and bought the whole thing. Largest Chinese acquisition of an American company ever. Your American bacon might have corporate decisions made in Hong Kong. But here's where it gets ugly. Smithfield has paid over $50 million in environmental fines. $50 million. They've been caught polluting North Carolina waterways with pig waste so many times, the state basically has them on speed dial. Their hog farms produce more annual waste than the entire human population of California. Let that sink in. More poop than 40 million people make. Yet they face fewer sewage regulations than your local apartment complex. And the workers? During COVID, Smithfield employees reported being denied bathroom breaks. Thousands got infected. The company kept the lines moving anyway. Now, flip that bacon package over. You'll find BHA and BHT listed right there. These synthetic preservatives have been flagged by the National Institutes of Health as possible human carcinogens. Possible. That's scientist speak for "we're concerned, but lawyers exist." Oh, but Smithfield sells an all-natural line, too. Problem solved? Not quite. That natural version uses celery powder instead of synthetic nitrates. Sounds healthier. It isn't. Celery powder converts to the exact same nitrosamines when you cook it. Same cancer risk, fancier label. You're paying extra for marketing. The next brand might surprise you even more. It's sitting in nearly every Walmart in America, and what's actually inside changes depending on when you bought it. Farmland sounds like a nice place, right? Rolling hills, red barns, maybe a farmer named Earl waving at you from his tractor. Yeah, that's not what you're getting. What you're actually buying is the cheapest bacon on the shelf. And there's a reason it costs less than a gallon of gas. Here's the thing. Farmland has been owned by Smithfield since 2003. So all those environmental disasters and factory farm nightmares we just talked about? Same company. Different label. They slapped a folksy name on it and called it marketing. But it gets worse. Some Farmland products contain mechanically separated pork. That's where high-pressure machines basically blast meat off bones. It's so sketchy that this process is actually banned for beef because of mad cow disease concerns. But pork, apparently that's fine. Then there's the water situation. Farmland bacon consistently tests higher for added water content than competitors. You're cooking it, watching it sizzle, and half your bacon literally evaporates into steam. Those strips shrink faster than my uncle's hairline in the 90s. And that ingredient called sodium ascorbate? Sounds healthy. Sounds like vitamin C. It's not doing anything nutritious. It's just keeping your meat artificially pink so it looks fresh longer. Here's what really gets me, though. Farmland's parent company runs the world's largest pig slaughterhouse in Tar Heel, North Carolina. They process 35,000 hogs every single day. That's not a farm. That's a factory with a pulse. So when you save $2 on that Farmland package, just know what corners got cut to make that price possible. Speaking of cutting corners, Walmart took it even further. Walmart's Great Value Bacon has a problem no other brand on this list shares. You literally never know what you're getting. See, Walmart doesn't make their own bacon. They contract it out to whoever offers the lowest bid that quarter. So, the package you bought last month probably came from a completely different supplier than the one you're buying today. It's like a mystery meat lottery, except nobody wins. The label says smoke flavoring, which sounds harmless enough. But here's what that actually means. Instead of hanging pork over smoldering hickory for hours, like your grandpa did, they spray liquid smoke on the meat and call it a day. All the flavor shortcuts, none of the tradition, and the salt situation is genuinely wild. Lab tests found Great Value bacon packs some of the highest sodium-to-protein ratios among major brands. Translation: more salt, less actual meat. You're basically seasoning your breakfast with a chemistry experiment. Now about traceability. With premium brands, you can often trace your bacon back to specific farms. With Great Value? Good luck. The pigs come from a rotating roster of industrial suppliers. Could be from Iowa, could be from North Carolina, could be from a farm that got cited last week for violations. You'll never know. Here's the kicker, though. At roughly $4 per pound, you're paying about 60% less than premium brands. Sounds like a steal until you realize the strips shrink so dramatically during cooking that you end up with 60% less bacon anyway. Workers have even reported finding excessive cartilage and gristle in packages. But if you think Great Value cuts corners, wait until you see what Bar S is doing. Bar S bacon sits in that bottom shelf at the grocery store. You know the one, where price tags make you do a double take because something seems too good to be true. Spoiler alert, it is. This brand is owned by Sigma Alimentos, a massive Mexican food conglomerate. Their entire business model? Dominate the ultra-budget processed meat market. And they've succeeded. Bar S is everywhere. But here's where it gets concerning. Their bacon contains potassium chloride as a salt substitute. Sounds harmless, right? Well, if you're taking certain blood pressure medications, this stuff can actually mess with your heart rhythm. Seriously. Your doctor probably never mentioned check your bacon ingredients, but maybe they should. Then there's the recall history. In 2016, Bar S got hit with a massive listeria contamination recall. We're talking millions of pounds of processed meats pulled from shelves. Millions. Now look at the strips themselves. They're noticeably thinner than other brands. About 40% less meat per slice. That's how they keep prices impossibly low. You're not getting a deal. You're getting less bacon disguised as savings. And buried in that ingredient list? Sodium diacetate. It's an antimicrobial agent that doubles as artificial vinegar flavoring. Why would bacon need vinegar flavor? To mask what the pork actually tastes like. My grandfather used to say, pay peanuts, get monkeys. He wasn't talking about bacon, but the principle applies perfectly here. Bar S spends almost nothing on advertising. 0 celebrity endorsements. No Super Bowl commercials. They rely entirely on customers who grab the cheapest option without flipping the package over. Speaking of regional brands hiding behind heritage names, there's one Virginia company that's been fooling Southern shoppers for decades. Gwaltney. The name sounds like something from your grandmother's kitchen. 150 years of bacon-making history, right there on the package. Here's what that heritage actually means today. Nothing. Smithfield bought them back in 1981. So that family-owned Virginia tradition? Gone before most of us were even born. But they still slap old-timey imagery on everything. Barns, rolling hills, the whole Southern nostalgia package. Meanwhile, the bacon comes from the exact same factory farm nightmare as every other Smithfield product. And about that hardwood smoked claim on the label? Those strips see actual smoke for maybe minutes, not hours. Minutes. Then they finish the job with liquid smoke flavoring. That's like saying you ran a marathon because you jogged to your mailbox and then drove the rest. The sodium phosphate situation is wild too. They pump these strips with enough of it to boost water retention by up to 12%. You're literally paying bacon prices for water that's going to sizzle away anyway. Consumer Reports actually tested this stuff. Gwaltney ranked among the fattiest options out there. We're talking up to 70% of each strip being pure rendered fat. You start with bacon. You end up with a tiny meat ribbon swimming in grease. The pigs don't have it any better. Gestation crates so small, the mothers can't turn around for their entire pregnancy. 10 states have already banned this practice because it's that cruel. So, yeah, 150 years of history sounds impressive. But history doesn't mean much when you've sold your soul to industrial farming. Now, want to know what bacon actually done right looks like? Now here's where things finally get good. Applegate Farms doesn't play the same games as those other brands. When they say, "No antibiotics ever," they actually mean it. The pigs never receive antibiotics from birth to slaughter. Not during a convenient withdrawal period, right before processing. Never. Flip over an Applegate package, and something weird happens. You can actually read the ingredients. Pork, water, sea salt, cane sugar, celery powder, spices. That's it. 6 ingredients. My grandma's recipe has more items than that, and she keeps things simple. The company started back in 1987 with one mission: make deli meats without synthetic nitrates. While everyone else was pumping products full of chemicals, these folks were already thinking ahead. Pioneers, honestly. But what about the pigs themselves? Applegate sources from farms using vegetarian feed. No animal byproducts, no growth hormones, and absolutely no ractopamine. That's a growth drug banned in 160 countries, by the way. Yet it's totally legal here. Comforting, right? Here's something you'll never see from conventional brands. Applegate publishes their animal welfare standards publicly. Third-party auditors verify everything. They're not hiding behind vague marketing speak. Now, the price tag. About $8 to $9 per package. I know. That's steep compared to the budget options. But here's the thing I noticed in my own kitchen. These strips barely shrink. No added water weight means you're getting actual bacon, not expensive steam. Cook a pack of great value next to Applegate and watch the difference. It's honestly kind of shocking. Still, Applegate isn't the only brand doing things right. There's one more worth mentioning. Now for the Texas underdog that's doing bacon the way your great-grandparents would recognize. Peterson's Natural Farms operates out of Hamilton, Texas. Population? About 3,000 people. This isn't some corporate headquarters in a glass tower. It's a family-owned operation where they actually know where every pig comes from. And here's what makes them different. They offer a no-sugar bacon line with genuinely zero sweeteners. Not low sugar. Not reduced sugar. Zero. Finding bacon without sugar is like finding a politician who admits they were wrong. Nearly impossible. They're pigs? Pasture-raised on small farms? These animals actually see grass. They root around in dirt. They do pig things. Revolutionary concept, apparently. But the curing process is where Peterson's really separates itself. They dry cure their bacon for a minimum of 14 days. Industrial brands? 24 to 48 hours. That's the difference between slow-smoked barbecue and microwaving leftover chicken. Both technically cook meat, but only one tastes like someone cared. They've collected every dietary certification imaginable. Whole30 approved. Keto certified. Paleo-friendly. Not because they're chasing trends, but because when you use clean ingredients, you accidentally qualify for everything. The really nerdy part? Some of their lines use heritage breed pigs. These are old-school pig varieties that produce darker, nuttier meat with actual depth of flavor. Mass-produced bacon tastes like salty nothing compared to this. Is it more expensive? Absolutely. you'll pay premium prices. But you're getting bacon that your body can actually process without a chemistry degree. So there you have it. 7 brands to skip, 2 worth your money. Your breakfast deserves better than mystery meat.